lollygag. Okay, we're all going to stand for the flag salute, and I'll just start it. Just be easier. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Perfect. Okay. Welcome everybody here tonight. Is that people in here? Any public comment, do you know? No? Even better. Presentations. Mrs. Nagel-Sancher.
So I am here with Alexi, and we had the opportunity to travel to Indianapolis in June for HOSA International Conference. So I'll let Alexa speak, and then April went with us also, but she's not able to be here tonight, but I do have a message from her.
Well, first off, I'm going to start off with, it is such an honor to represent Grandview at such an international level. And for me, I just really enjoyed the experience, getting to connect with other teenagers who want to pursue a career in the medical field, such as myself. And I would say that one of my favorite parts, other than competing, was just getting to network. And there was so many exhibits such as HOSA Expo, where we got to learn so many skills, such as learning how to intubate an infant, which that to me was one of my favorite parts, especially for someone who wants to be a pediatrician. I just want to say thank you to everybody who made that possible, who made it possible for me and April to get to go to Indiana, to have the opportunity to compete, because again, this does help so much with our career path. And I just really want to say thank you so much. It really means a lot to me, and especially getting to get that far, because for state it took months of studying, and I'm so glad that it got to pay off, and I got to again represent Grandview. And I'm just so thankful, and will forever be thankful for that amazing opportunity. And I'm so thankful for Miss Sancher, who came to be our chaperone and stepped up to be there for us.
And then April says ILC was really fun. It was great getting to network with other people who have the same interests as me, as well as getting a huge opportunity to explore HOSA and my interest to a bigger extent. But overall, ILC was a great experience. It was tough studying and staying focused while preparing to travel and compete against the smartest kids around the world. But overall, I had a great experience. We had amazing support from our Washington HOSA team, as well as outstanding support from our chaperone. Mrs. Sancher seems a little self-serving. To be able to experience ILC with Alexi, she was very fun to get to bond with, and I'm very proud of our Grandview HOSA chapter and how far our chapter has come. So there were teams there from all over the world. Obviously, North America was represented, but also
Korea,
China,
Italy, Puerto Rico,
Turkey. I'm trying to think of different places, but there were kids from all over the world there. So it was a really great experience for our girls as well as for them. Indiana in June, don't recommend it, but we survived. Tornado warnings and all.
So what events did you compete in?
I competed in a test in human growth and development.
Okay, well, kind of tell us what that was like.
For me, it was I've never competed or done anything like this, so this was a completely new process. And obviously I don't know anybody personally who has competed at international, so it was kind of hard trying to navigate, but I figured it out, and it was a really interesting process. We had to meet in a huge room. It was at
the Indianapolis
Convention
Center. So it was one of their huge ballrooms that we all went into.
Yes, and then there was just tables lined up and we just had to give them our information. They gave us a test and we had to, track our own time and we had to take I believe it was 50 questions in 60 minutes. And yeah, I had to do it on many topics that revolve around human growth and development. So infancy, pregnancy, young adult age, and a lot of other things such as like mental health, diseases and illnesses, and yeah, that's a bit about what my topic was. So yeah.
Awesome.
It's nice to hear, we approve these to send people to lots of places, but we're trying to push to get people to come back and tell us how it went. And it's really good to hear that we get good experiences and it's well worth doing what we're able to do. And it's really good that you guys are able to do that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it and I learned so much throughout this whole process. So yeah.
Awesome.
I have no doubt that Grandview was represented well, so thank you for sharing that
Oh,
too.
thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Next, we'll do K-7 summer learning.
Okay, so introductions, I'm Carly Hodges. Is anyone this? We're the principals for the summer learning program at K-7 level this year. And we had the opportunity to partner with DiscoverWorks as part of our grant. So we're gonna do kind of like a high level overview of the summer. There was a lot that happened. And we're gonna try to condense it in a short period of time. If you have some questions, please feel free to ask along the way or at the end. All right, so DiscoverWorks grant, it provided funding for all of our K-7 students to participate in our summer learning program this year. Our goal was to have 500 students enroll and have 70% attendance. That was part of the grant requirements, and we had up to 23 days of programming that we built into this program this summer. Our actual enrollment was 455. We did have over 500 that enrolled, but who actually came to at least one day of summer programming was 455. Our average attendance for the whole entire program was 82.1%. So you can see we had from K through 7, we did have some good numbers all the way through. So nice representation even in our middle school. And then along the way, we did build in some attendance incentives to try to continue to help support the students coming in, because we're kind of hearing about a dip and seeing the dip, and from like the past, we knew that sometimes the last 3 or 4 or 5 weeks kind of trail off. And so we came up with a stamp card, and each day the students would come in, they'd get a stamp for the day. And if they had 3 to 4 stamps in the week, they'd get something out of our treasure box, since that supported that 75% to 100% attendance weekly. We did a random day where just one day we'd come in with treats, and the kids who were there who showed up got to get a treat. And then we had some bigger incentives. So if they were there for 2 weeks, we did a movie where the kids got to go to the Fairchild Cinemas in Pasco and then have a field day. We had Splat come in and they got to do some fun, crazy paint. We had the fire department there and they got to do some games outside. And then the final at the end of the program. So we had some good participation, and we heard a lot that students were coming because they knew that if they missed, they would miss out. So even our middle schoolers, I didn't want to get up today.
Yeah.
But I knew
I tell them that. And once we're here, it's okay, because I wake up and I'm here. Yeah, because like I didn't want to come, it was too early, but I'm here.
So it worked. So
Yeah.
all right. So our daily schedule, how we had things set up, we had 1 teacher and 1 para in each class. We had 10 teacher academy students who participated in our program too. We had 8 hours of students on site. So we had 7:30 to 3:30 with our first hour, and our last hour built in for early drop off and late pickup. So we had some enrichment activities to support both ends of the day as well. We had 90 minutes of math, 90 minutes of literacy, which was a requirement for the grant to have that minimum. And then we also had 90 minutes of science enrichment. That's what we use for our enrichment component. And we partnered with 4-H and WSU. We'll talk about that a little bit. And then we had 30 minutes of art and then 30 minutes of PE and recess built into the day.
So K-5 literacy curriculum, we did use benchmark. Sometimes we don't get to unit 10 of our curriculum, so that's the unit that we across the district in K-5 nobody taught. So that's the one that we focused on. And this unit really focuses on poetry. So again, it explores poetry forms, rhythm, rhyme, imagery, and theme. Builds fluency through repeated expressive reading, strengthens vocabulary, comprehension, and engages students in discussing, performing, and writing poetry. So, and the standards addressed were RL, RF, you look down there, and then so on and so forth. With this unit, though, I will say that I want to give thanks to our coaches because we did have a pre and post assessment that was, it had to be given because of DiscoverWorks. And those pre and post in literacy focused on really the narrative, the fiction side of it. While this unit is poetry, it has a spin on it. So a lot of it is informational, but it spins into poetry. So what our coaches did is they were really intentional in their small group supports to where we had materials already within benchmark that we can pull the standards that were going to be assessed so that that can transfer into the assessment, if that makes sense. So then, as you can see, we did have some growth. So in kindergarten, we had 41.80 or 8% growth in literacy. And then that's looking at our pre-test and our post-test. First grade, 55.51%, second grade, 23, third, 21, fourth, 17, and then it goes on to fifth grade, about 23% increase of growth. And then she'll talk a little bit about the middle school side.
So our middle school, we worked with our coaches in the middle school prior to summer learning to really have an intentional connection to the science that we're going to be doing. So we're going to have a place-based focus for our science program for all of K-7 and want to integrate, have that cross-curricular support for our students. And so they chose a novel and had some other supports in there as well to study. It's called Fever 1793. And so part of the science unit was learning about mosquitoes and disease transfer and how cells work and how disease and viruses spread. And so that was integrated into the novel. So that was kind of cool. So they were able to learn through that novel. They did some close reading. They did some analysis of historical maps. They did primary sources. They talked about yellow fever. It was a really fun approach. And they also had some support as well to kind of guide, you know, what the, I guess some of the learning to make sure that it did hit some of those learning targets that were going to be assessed as well. And they did show growth. So sixth grade had 14.28%, seventh grade had 36.4%. And so overall, we did show a lot of growth in all of our grade levels. And so our overall average was 29.21. Math curriculum, our video didn't load. Shoot. So for math, we had Math for Love this summer. You want to talk a little bit about that
So
program?
we had the opportunity to purchase Math for Love, and it's kind of based on the in-service day that we had with our math video that we watched on how we want to teach kids math through a different lens, like really thinking about their world and exploring it that way, and that conceptual understanding and making those connections. So again, this curriculum was really hands-on. It was game-based, but it had a different approach. It wasn't like you were trying to fluently just spit out numbers. It was really about that conceptual understanding and really thinking through the math lens. It had activities, differentiated learning, and then it did build the students' confidence. And then we did see some growth as well. If you could escape, you might be able to show the video. It's a really, really short video. I don't know if it. I did. That's a video that was, well, we can share it next time. It was a video that was shared with me by a third grade teacher saying how much she loved the math and how much the kids enjoyed it. And it was really conceptually like understanding. They were looking at geometric shapes in terms of mathematical thinking and reasoning. So the video kind of showed like a partnership with students discussing the problem through that hands-on learning, and then just the academic discussion and the discourse that came about it was really good. Another thing, I just want to credit our coaches as well. Our math coach did build in some repetitive practice too with story word problems for our students. So that it would supplement a little bit of that, but it was a really good program.
There we go. All right, so our science enrichment component, we again focus on that place-based science curriculum to kind of explore the local phenomenon. So all students had access to having a background knowledge of what they were learning about, and then could extend their learning through the different activities that they provided. We partnered with WSU, the Yakima County Extension 4-H. They have a lot of really great programs. And so they had designed all of our summer learning. They took lessons and curriculum that they had and modeled it and created it just for us to fit our weekly schedule and the needs that we had for our students. So it was really awesome partnering with them. So week 1, they had sculpting science where all students learned about cell membranes. And they built these different cell membrane structures, and you'll see some later on in some of the displays. It's pretty cool. So they got to talk about that. We had a cell membrane in the hall that they walked by every day and got to talk about it, try to throw viruses on there to see if they're virus stuck. And they learned about mosquitoes. We had 2 weeks of that where they learned about mapping mosquitoes, and we used the local phenomenon about West Nile virus, since Yakima County actually has a higher than average, I guess, disease of the West Nile virus that comes here or that is present here. So they got to use that and kind of talk about where they live and the life cycle of mosquitoes. And again, it was differentiated from kindergarten all the way to our middle schoolers, so they can all participate and learn at their level to understand the area, mosquitoes. And then they got to dive in a little bit into some of the STEM careers that have to do with virology. So they're all like virologists, and it was cute hearing them all talk about their different viruses that they made and how they were going to combat their virus. And it was a fun experience. And then the last 2 weeks, there's no new waters. We talked about water and the water cycle. And they talked about watersheds and where our water is in our community. And then they talked about seeds. And so it kind of tied into our local agriculture, but they also got to do some art through that as well.
And it was really connected to Washington State, really in the environment and where the kids are from. So one thing about the water cycle, right, when do kids have an opportunity to learn about Washington State and the lower Yakima Valley, and it connected, it was all there for them. So they don't really have that opportunity to engage in mapping. And it was really neat to see that,
Some of their local community maps that they built at the bottom, I think some of our kindergarten classes. So they did great. We did field trips for all grade levels, got to go for an educational field trip that connected to some part of their learning. So our K2, they went to the Yakima Arboretum. They had some scavenger hunts. They had some structured activities they could do with their teachers. We had a skull kit where the kids were able to explore skulls and get to learn about the different structure and function of how they're put together, and that they're predator or prey depending on how their teeth. And so they got to be able to do some critical thinking and looking at those and just exploring and being out in nature.
Some kids came back saying they went to the forest.
Yeah.
We went to the forest. We had a good time.
Retreat.
A lot of wildlife.
So 3-5 went to Coyote Canyon McBone's Mammoth Dig Site. They learned about the Missoula floods and then the Columbian mammoths that used to roam our area, and learned about how the Missoula floods brought in different rock formations that are not necessarily native to Washington State. So they did engage in that learning as well. And the highlight of that trip was getting to get dirty and find little skeletons like that are in the area. So a lot of them came home with a little bag of little skeleton animals that live in the area, and then how that tied in. What was really great about this is that they made the connection to the water science unit as well, and the flooding and all of that. So it was really neat to see that.
Is that the place that's out in the Weenass?
Yeah.
You go to Sealand on out?
No, actually, that's a different one. We went
Oh.
to the one past in Kennewick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then our middle schoolers went to the Northwest School of Falconry. And prior to going to this experience, we went to Hood Park, which is along the Snake River. And they had an opportunity to do a little nature walk as well as a little bit of dinner. But it was really cool. Because of the falconry, it needs to be a small group. And so we broke up the classes. So they were going with their English class. It was a small class. And so we went for 4 days. And it was interesting. Every single group went out and started talking about mosquitoes on their own. And they tied it to the book that they were reading and started talking about the characters. And they started talking about their experiences. And but we didn't read this yet, and it's, this is what I think is gonna happen next, and what are you talking about? That's not, so it was interesting just having that organic conversation because they were in a place that they were able to connect to. So that was an intentional connection that we'd hope they make, and they did it on their own. It was great. And then we went to the Northwest School of Falconry, and this is Raul. He is from Peru, and he's been here for quite a few years, and he is a falconer. So the students got to learn about falconry. He uses his falcons to help deter birds in blueberry fields during the growing season. So that's one of the things that he does with them during our summers, and then he takes them to hunts with people as well. So if you're interested in hunting with falcons,
But talking about that,
connection right there. It's a pretty cool.
we're
But
talking about nature in action.
exactly. Oh yeah, there was. We're not gonna talk about that, but I guess
It's learning. I mean,
just connect over, talk about life cycle and the food cycle and the water cycle. And so our last day, again, he uses these to get the birds out of the fields. And he always jokes about, well, maybe they'll go find a rabbit or something. And anyway, the last day the falcons actually did find a rabbit. So they got a rabbit, and it was an experience. Some were more excited about it than others.
They were calling families.
So, this wasn't an
There's
intentional.
murder.
That's right.
There's murder that happened.
We did have a student that got really upset because she had a pet rabbit.
Oh, jeez.
Call
You killed
from
Fluffy.
families. We're okay, but the falcon caught a rabbit and they might be upset about it. But the families were really good. I think they appreciated the field trip and the opportunities there.
The death.
Like,
well, life.
Yeah.
So they could hold the falcon if they wanted to. This is actually a Harris hawk. We didn't get a pictures of in this slide with the peregrine falcon, but the Harris hawks, they got to learn how they hunt like packs. And so we all did some bonding experience at the beginning to kind of solidify our pack. And they naturally flew up on top of the school bus. And so we made a great opportunity for a picture with that. But it was pretty cool.
Okay, so after school activities, as you know, we had that extended 1 hour pickup by parent time. So we had 2 days out of the week in which students engaged in an active like PE type of activity, like group building activity. And then the other 2 days out of the week, it was art, a lot of art. So 4th of July, they did a little salt and watercolor paint art project. I think they made fireworks with that, and they get to go at home. And so a lot of them actually, we had a lot of buy-in because a lot of the kids that stayed behind the tiller friends, oh, it's so much fun after school, why don't you stay? And so we had a couple kids that asked for permission to get picked up later. So our program, we had an attendance, a good 45-ish, almost 50 kids that would stay after school at times.
We had our attendance incentive field trip. So this was the movie day and field day. So we had movie over there, right? You got to go see Minions and Monsters, and then the fire department was gracious and came over and sprayed everyone down with hoses, and the kids got to play with those Splatted. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that organization, but they set up basically they have canvases and they have little like squirt guns that have paint in them, and you could the kids can squirt each other and get kind of like tie-dye on their shirt. They can create a group mural, run through the paint and have fun. I'm getting messy. And I believe we had 166 students that earned that perfect attendance. Yeah.
Great.
And I did the party trip. So we did this the day after our last day, so it was on the 17th. And we had a lot of students be able to go, and they all did a really great job and had a fun time. Staff that was willing to help support us. That was great because we had a lot of students who qualified and a lot of students who showed up at 5:15 in the morning to go.
That's great. 5 buses. Just a quick story. There is a picture of a wolf. It was a red wolf, I believe. And the reason I have that picture is because one of our kindergarten teachers for summer learning did say that his little group of 5 kids that he was monitoring, so the 1-to-5 ratio, went up to the exhibit and started howling. Like crazy, just howling to see if it can, because it was asleep and it wouldn't get up, and then all of a sudden it just got up and walked towards them a little bit and then just kind of started staring at them. So like that was the highlight of their whole good as a kindergartner, that they were able to wake it up and have it come over to them a little bit. So they had a good time.
We had touch tables, the kids could touch them at a different marine animals in there. And then our family night, we had dinner, we had family activities, door prizes, gallery walks. At the beginning of the school year, all the kids made a little quote square with different activity or different things that represented who they were and where they were from. And so we put together this huge school summer learning quilt, and that's what the families are looking at there on the left. And then we had a kind of a group mural where people could participate, and you found this little note in there.
So yeah, a parent said, thanks to the amazing staff and teachers, my son had an amazing time and loved every bit of summer school. So yeah, we had a lot of compliments.
And then just kind of at a glance, yeah, 455 students who participated, 82.1% attendance for our average, and then all students made growth in math and in our literacy.
One-time grant.
And little
And
ends.
more pictures of the family night.
But it depends on if you get it.
We get this for several years, right? So this is the pilot year. And so depending on the feedback that we did, do you guys want, they could talk about the focus groups and all the data they collected. And then if it goes well, then we'll do it again. This has already been done in Michigan, so they have a good track record. So the talk is that we will probably get this again. It's through Ballmer's dollars, billionaire. What's his first name? Steve Ballmer, Microsoft executive, and now he owns like those Clippers and through his philanthropy organization.
Did you hear that the stadium's worth is like Clippers?
Yeah, but you guys want to talk about a little bit of the strings that we had to, or whose we had to jump through for all of this?
So
There was a lot.
yeah, a couple of things to do. I think a lot of it just stuff that we would do back in our own district. So we had surveys that we did, pre and post assessments. We did have focus groups come in. So a third party came in, MGT, and they did student interviews. They did student interviews, family interviews, teacher, us yesterday, just to kind of get a feel of what went well, what could be improved, to get feedback, and that's just to bring back to collect across Washington. They said they kind of synthesize all of that. I think they're going to give us specific data back for our district, but those focus group. But then it's more also to kind of generalize in Washington, how's it going? Is this something that's sustainable? What can we do better to help support and build into the program? And then they do offer like an online program for students. So that's what we did not opt in. We did something else. Looked up, great. But that was something else that they do offer as well, and that's what's attached to their assessments. And so we didn't see their assessments or know what they were assessing when we were picking out our curriculum, because we didn't have access to that yet. So I think understanding what their focus is going into this, again, if this is an option, might be something that's helpful as we're designing our curriculum. So we're not in the middle of things. We need to kind of shift a little bit to help support what they're trying to measure, not to teach to the test or whatever, but also to support to make sure that we're trying to focus in on what they need.
I will say, like, our instructional coaches were amazing. Though, with writing some question banks tied to the math that had to be assessed to see that transfer, and also with ELA, making sure that during small group support we supported our students at the standards that were going to be assessed. So that was a lot of help.
And this was a big lift, but not a heavy lift, because we've already been doing a lot of the work that they wanted us to do. We've always had 20 or 23 days of instruction, and that's one of the requirements. Of the students who attended, they wanted us to have 70% attendance. We were shot for 85. And as you can see, we were pretty close. We had to give a pre and post assessment, and which we did. We've always done that. And they also they gave us a choice if we was using their curriculum or our own district curriculum, and we chose to do our own district curriculum. We previewed theirs, and we just no, we can do something better. So that's what we did. I think those are the big requirements to get the money. And so, yeah, it was
Great. Yeah.
the attendance, yeah.
They were big on making sure that we hit a mark
Yeah.
every day.
And they're being modest, but they did an amazing job as the summer school principals. There was a lot of things that they had to do, and but they were good. And then I mean, we supported them all the way through as things were coming up here and there. And, myself, Lucy, HR, accounting, everybody.
IT, shout out to IT.
IT, I mean, I go to Walmart and pick up stuff, they'd come over, get the card and do it, so everybody helped in this whole summer learning process, so that. You guys did an amazing job, you guys know that, and so thank you.
So with this being the pilot, the number of participants, we fell short a little bit. Does that impact potentially the future of us receiving the grant or?
No, we were on an email chain, they said that we were okay if we were at 455.
Okay.
So that's not gonna impact us negatively at all. If it would have fallen like to 300 or lower, it would have, but
Sure.
no, they said it was, we were on where they wanted us to be.
Okay.
Yeah, because they were gonna pay us for the 500 regardless.
Yeah.
So we had to make a decision back, an executive decision, what, like 2 months before,
Yeah.
and we were going back and forth, because at that time, our enrollment was at 250.
Mhm.
And I kept pushing, it's like, okay, no, because I've done this for a very long time. So we're gonna get up to the 500, so let's go for 500. Brad's like, are you sure? Are you sure? I said, yes,
Yes.
trust me, Brad. So we went with 500. And so, yeah, so we're right in the ballpark. I think you guys said 455, but I think we had enrolled at one point in time 474. So we're about 24, 26 shy of that 500.
In our
So,
reporting, there was actually 509 enrolled, but only 455 came at least once or every.
Continue.
so we were good. And then I think our lowest was 72%, and that was, I want to say it was the last day. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, the last day was really low, and then we had after our first 3 days, that Monday was after holiday, 3-day weekend, it was kind
Yeah.
of low, but it wasn't, I mean, it didn't
70
go below 70.
72.1 was the lowest one, and that was on the last day of school.
Yeah.
So they did a really good job with the incentives and keeping the forefront and.
I think a lot of kids, when we would pop into classrooms to deliver their treat or their treasure box, we went in with the spiel, like, remember, perfect attendance on time every day. Tell your parents, tell your friends. So they go home and they tell their parents, I gotta be in school, I gotta be in school. And some parents would be calling in, I gotta excuse my son or daughter, and is this gonna affect their attendance field trip? I'm like, yeah, unfortunately it is gonna, but yeah, a lot of them say, I need to be in school.
So they had a third member of their team who's not here tonight, but you guys have a copy of Dr. Tovar's high school.
Yes.
Because we also had a 8 to 9 academy, so students who are transitioning from 8 to 9.
Mhm.
And so you can look at the numbers here that we had 125 incoming freshmen attend. And for the high school students, their incentive is they're gonna get a credit. But she also had some incentives for them. They actually got to go to the Point Defiance Zoo as well. If they went there, there was a tour of University of Washington with the Point Defiance Zoo. So it was academically based, not just entertainment. And talking about, because Europe paid for some of that for that trip, was what are some jobs that you could do at the zoo, not just go see the animals. So it was really job based. But you can look at the numbers here, how many credits were earned over the summer. And for the first time ever, we had a summer school graduation. So thank you to the board members that were there on Friday, the 17th. We had 6 students graduate, but only 5 showed up. We couldn't convince the 6th one to show up. So we had a nice little, like a 30-40 minute ceremony for them on Friday. And they were so happy. They were taking pictures. I mean, it was a really good event for our families. So Dr. Tovar sends her apologies for not being able to be here. She had another commitment, but all 3 of them did an amazing job coming together, planning, asking for guidance, questions. I mean, all that stuff. They did an amazing job. So wanted to give them an opportunity to highlight some of the work they did during summer learning. There's always challenges. I mean, I don't know if we want to talk about the challenges now or later, but if you guys have any questions about it, because it's a good summer learning experience.
I mean, I had jotted a few questions that you all answered that as you continued on, so.
Awesome, thank you.
Yes,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Good job, ladies.
Thank you.
You.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
A second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to new business. We got City of Prosser, interlocal regarding use of the public facilities. We do this every year. You guys want to do these individually or all at once? You
What
have
do we
the-
need, Brad? Do we need to do them individually?
Probably should because of the grants.
Okay,
and
I make
credit
them-
cards. Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the City of Prosser interlocal agreement.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to the request for board approval on the 26-27 grants.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for board approval, of the 2026-2027 grants.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then we'll do the credit card limit. Maybe, should we bring your limit down a little bit, Brad? Is that what you're wanting? Lower this down?
Well, well, we're trying to continue to use them more and more so that our rebate will grow.
Amen.
So,
I make a motion to approve the credit card limits.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Child nutrition, interlocal agreement.
Make a motion to approve the child nutrition interlocal agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Superintendent update.
Good evening, board. So we already covered the newsworthy item about the graduation thing, so they all your hard work this summer. Your team did a great job. So August 11th, actually, on the 10th, we have new staff orientation, and so some of you are involved in that. You for sure. On the 11th, we have that week have our admin leadership retreats. So the 11th in the morning from noon to 8 to noon, we'll have all of our district leadership team there. So if you want to stop by, say hi, you can. On the
At the Learning
at
Center.
the Learning Center, yep. On the 12th from 8 to noon, we will have just the instructional leaders, like the building leadership teams and T&L. And then the 13th will be there all day with Jen McDermott from University of Washington, Go Dogs. She'll be there continuing the work that we've been doing, Go Dogs, throughout the year. The 11th, that night we have a board meeting, and then that hopefully we can beat our 9-minute record last time, I think. It's our longest board meeting we had. Because then we have the national night out that we bumped back a week so we could do it with the city. And then on the 19th, believe it or not, is our welcome back staff. This year the timing is gonna be a little bit different. Last year we did t-shirts and breakfast, and then we went to the large group. This year we're gonna do t-shirts and breakfast, and then they're gonna go off into their membership groups for the first hour and a half or 2 hours, and then from there we'll come back and do the all group welcome back at 10:15. So you're welcome for all or some of that. And then the 20th is first day of school. If anybody wants to ride the bus with me, I'll be riding a bus that morning. I can do every year. So if you want to hop on a bus, if we get one of our bus drivers, she only turns right. She only wants to pick up kids on the right side. She never wants kids across the street. So sometimes we go round and round. And she showed me her house, and she showed me her daughter's house, and it was a good time last time with her. So, and then yeah, first day is gonna, next board meeting's on the 25th after that. And then it's September.
Yeah. Blink.
August is gonna fly by. Yeah.
We're not even in August and you already passed it.
Already passed it.
Okay, so we'll move on to our surveys. I did look at all of them. The first one, there was no comments or anything. The second one, I didn't see any comments on it, or the third one, or the fourth one. Was it the fifth or the sixth? that we
It's
had?
a success in the early years.
Sixth one.
Oh, not till the sixth one. So we'll go to this, might as well just skip down to the sixth one. So we did have a few comments on this one. And I would like a little explanation, or did you guys see the comments?
Mhm.
Oh, so I'll read the comments. One of them is I agree with the exceptions listed. The other comment in 25-26 school year, 3 of the 4 grade levels showed significant regression in the amount of students that achieved moved than 1 year growth in mathematics. I see that we have 4 steps to help meet our standards. I would like to see an update midway through the upcoming school year. The next comment is, what is the evidence-based rationale for utilizing solely the iReady diagnostic computer-based assessment versus the GOLD framework for pre-K through first grade students? The GOLD framework considers kindergarten readiness with social, emotional, physical, cognitive, language, and academic milestones. How does the iReady assessment account for these areas of learning within the diagnostic test? What concerns, if any, exist with incorporating the observation-based teacher assessment for early learners?
So we do Walk Kids, which is the TS Gold. You do that twice a year in TK and in Kinder, right? Yeah, and so I think that was just something that wasn't reported in the specifics.
Yeah, so I did see the comments and I can prepare it a little bit. The two things, there's a long answer and a short answer. The short answer is based on our strategic plan. When we met and we came up with our KPIs, the metric that we used to identify or address this particular standard was the iReady diagnostic assessment. So that's why we're only looking at that one. That's the short answer. The long answer is one is an observation-based assessment. The other one is a more formalized norm referenced assessment. So if you just go focus on the TT Gold or the TTK and Kinder, that's the only two grade levels where that assessment is given. And furthermore, it is it's subject to subjectivity. So, you can have 5 teachers and they can rate that same category differently based on their perception of the students. And it's really to assess the students from birth to about first grade. And are they ready to go to kindergarten? It addresses all the social, emotional, the academics, the literacy. So it's more comprehensive. Whereas iReady is only academically based. You're only looking at reading and only at math, and that's it. So they're complementary assessments, but they are very different assessments. So that's kind of like the long answer. So I did give you guys some information here on the purpose for either one of those, where we're assessing TTK and Kinder, the goal strategies, and we have to give that assessment. That's part of the state requirements. We have to give it. And so we just use it, for kinder teachers. Okay, like Jose's ready for kindergarten. We might say, Mr. Green is not. So it just depends on that. So but again, it's very subjective. Whereas the other one is not. It's that assessment. And then to that first comment, what we do give this assessment 3 times. So we give it in the fall, in the spring, fall, winter, and spring. So we can definitely provide the data around the winter time when we give the second iReady assessment in literacy and math, that we can compare where we finished up last year and where we are currently in 2027, middle of the year. That makes sense, because I think that's the request. So we can definitely do that. And the other thing to remember is we're not looking at apples and oranges. It's not cohort data. It's new kids every year, but that's the metric that we're going to use. So between kinder and third grade, this is where we want kids to be. And that's why I also threw in the standards, the SBA, which is the National Norm Reference Assessment that we give at the state level. So we're looking at the state, district, and if you saw in my comments, we're really going to focus this year on common formative assessments. We have Megan on, she's the whole team that's going to be the focus this school year, is really focusing on common formative assessments, rebooting the PLCs, and start looking at the classroom-based work versus just the district and the state level. Does that make sense? So really honing in on what are they doing in the classroom. And so that's part of the MTSS work, part of the PLC work. We're really going to focus on tidying up or shoring up tier 1 instruction, because we can't intervene our way out of this, right? We have to be solid on our tier 1, then we can focus on tier 2 and tier 3 versus always going to intervention. So and then we already have a lot of things in place. Like you saw there, we already have number corner, so we can do a lot of number talks. One of the big focus, or we have actually had 3 big foci the last couple of years with our principals and our teachers. One is differentiated instruction, which is an overarching kind of umbrella, because any category, any strategy can fit under that. The second thing is clear intentional learning outcomes for kids. What are the learning targets and success criteria? And so the teachers need to be crystal clear on that. And that's always tied to standards. So we're teaching the standards, and then the instructional materials support that work. So coupled with that, we want kids to be talking in the classroom, having the mathematical discourse, learning the academic vocabulary in math and in literacy. So when they do take an assessment like this, they're not tripped up with words like multiplication, addition, sum, difference. So that's one of the goals through our number talks. And the way we do that was through our number corner. So we're going to really tighten that piece up. The other thing is we want kids to, we want to ask level 3 they call them depth of knowledge questions 3 and 4. Level 1 is like, what's the author's name? It's very recall, very low level, which is how did the author change, or how did the character change throughout the novel that you're reading? It's more of a DOK 3 or 4 question, because you have to analyze it, you have to, process things, and you have to have a conversation. And then the last thing that we want to focus on as a district that we've been focusing on is what I just mentioned, is around common formative assessments. The goal this year is I want our principals to work with their teachers. So every teacher needs to know exactly where every kid is at academically, either through conferring with students, doing exit tickets and collecting data at the classroom level, or having different exit tickets that are classroom-based assessments that they can then change instruction tomorrow. Because the way I look at it, this SBA, it's really autopsy data. It's already happened. This is how kids performed in the spring, and then your intermittent or interim assessments are your already your fall, winter, and spring, but really getting down to that classroom level assessment. So that's the way we hope we're going to get our scores in. Because if you look at a 10-year trend, I mean, we haven't really regressed, but we really haven't, we're not knocking out of the ballpark. We're in the 55% style. That still tells us about 40% of our kids still aren't making it, and that's a big number. So we know we're doing okay, but we can do better, and that's the goal.
So the main areas like the number corners, the math talks, the formative assessments, that's going to be for that whole grade band, pre-K through 3rd.
To be K-12, but we're in this particular case, we're only focusing on K-3. But yeah, I mean, that's our focus with our principals, K through 12. Every classroom should have a clear learning target. Every classroom should have kids having conversations, having true academic conversations. Teachers should be assessing kids. They should know where they're at every day and change instruction based on where they're at. And the curriculum and the pacing guide doesn't dictate what we do. The kids in front of us do. Because a lot of times we get so hung up on the curriculum or the instructional materials that we forget about the kids in front of us. They're going to tell us what needs to happen based on that data. But if we're not collecting the data, then we really don't know. We're just kind of shooting from the hip. And we don't want to shoot from the hip. We want to be very intentional. And again, it's part of MTSS in its true sense is we're providing the right intervention at the right time for the right kid. I mean, and sometimes we make it a little bit more complex than that, but yeah, that's the one. And we've been talking about this for the last couple of years. Continue the course.
Well, and just another follow-up question, I guess, when we look at this too, because one of the things we said is that they would be, well, all of our students would be enrolled in pre-K and or transitional kinder programs. We know that there's only so many slots. So how many students are we missing in that?
Half.
About half. And then do we work with again, I know we've talked about this in previous years, but have we started any collaboration with like our childcare providers who are providing preschool type programs or other entities that are providing it to kind of see how their curriculum aligns to our standards?
Yeah, you want to speak some of that?
Yeah, that's one area we need to shore up. We've always, say there's Teddy Corners, there's private daycare, there's it's not Epic now, Inspired.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've tried to connect with them and share resources. It hasn't happened the way we'd like it to be because everyone is doing their own thing. And yeah, so to come to the school and say, teach us on how to do, number corners, an example. It just hasn't happened yet.
And Jose and I actually have talked in great length about the need for an early learning director.
Yeah.
How we can really benefit from focusing heavily on that TK and K world, because we know that when we get them at grade level, by the time they get to kinder, 75% of them on their own stay at grade level. They need very little intervention to stay there. So we need to, we've been talking like, how do we shore up that world and make it a stronger focus?
Yeah, and the families as well. Like I think about that because we have the Save the Children partnership, right? Like, and that's kind of focused with families and everything. But how do we help them? Because those who aren't even in school or aren't attending, some type of providers, preschool or whatever, so that families have the common knowledge of what's expected when they come into kinder.
No, that's definitely an area where
We'd love to have more spots in TTK.
Yeah, I know.
Anything else on assessments? If we don't have any more questions, I think we ought to just vote on them as a whole.
If we want to leave them the way they are, yeah.
Unless anybody wants to add anything.
Are you gonna be approving them with comments?
Yeah, we only have the one that has comments, so you could say a motion to approve them all with comments, because only the one has comments. But that's whatever you guys want to do.
Are there any other questions or reservations with moving forward, having the comments? On that? Okay, then I'd make a motion to approve GP 1, 2, 3, and 4, and EL 2 and ENS 5 as is.
With comments.
With comments as is, yeah.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So one additional commentary that I failed to mention is, so on August 6th, we're bringing in all our principals and our instructional coaches, and we're gonna co-create a professional development session that's gonna be the same sheet of music, if you will, from K-12. So all principals are gonna come together, we're gonna co-create it, but then on the 18th or the 17th, whatever they choose, they're gonna deliver this PD, which is gonna be the same thing that we just talked about right now. Right,
Do all
we're
their
gonna look at data, you know, those 4 areas, we're not moving from them, differentiate instruction, student discourse, all that. So it's gonna be, we're gonna be more alike than different. I think that's part of the problem, is sometimes we're still being just different in some
High
buildings.
school.
Yeah, by schools, and so we're gonna be one unified system, saying the same thing consistently and observing practice.
I think it's the parade that day.
Thank you for sharing.
And everybody can go to the parade afterwards and watch Chuck.
Practicing my parade wave.
Yeah, so that'll be in the morning.
He's leading the way.
Grand March.
Okay, so we'll go to board assessment.
Oh. There you go.
Yeah,
All
we
good.
didn't have her do it. We got a bunch of negative.
She doesn't like to do it. Make it with you.
I know it. Your negatives won't ever do it anymore. Anyway, they were all good.
Dan did this, Dan did that.
From the board,
I went to the summer graduation up at the high school. That was a very positive event. Families were tickled. The one kid when they did the family picture, must have had 30 kids there. The one thing that I wish would have been a little better, we had very little participation by people associated with our school district. I hope that next year that is better. So
We're already changing the date to the day after, or the last day of summer learning versus the Friday.
Okay.
And make sure that our teachers are there as well.
Yeah.
yeah, I went to that also, and it was good. The kids really got a kick out of it, and they were really happy to do it, I think. So, you know, but no, it was a nice time. They had it set up really nice. Came walking in the middle and spread out and did the whole thing. And Jose had a nice speech and everything, and then gave the stuff out. It was really nice.
They're really happy to see the board there. The families that I talked to a couple of.
Even though I have to give a little bit of thing on this, Shelby tells Chuck you can't wear jeans.
No, short.
And can't wear shorts and had to dress up. And then Dan gets Dan wore shorts and a hat. And Chuck was not happy. And Shelby said, he snuck by me and didn't. So anyway, even though she did like my clothes out, but anyway, it was pretty funny. Yeah, it was a good time.
Unfortunately, we had a family emergency come up, so I wasn't able to attend, but I do want to say that I am happy to see that our district is doing an event like this, and hopefully next year, you know, I'll be able to be in attendance. So.
Anything else from the board?
July 13th through the 16th, I was able to help Jean Awami with the Extra Mile Student Center and the kids do a golf clinic at the golf course. It went really well. For the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we just did a standard hour on the range and then an hour on the putting and chipping green and stuff like that, getting them, you know, showing them the basics of golf. And then on Thursday night, we ended up getting to take, and I think there was 4 of us that ended up taking a group of kids. So I think we had 3 apiece and went out and played a 2-hole scramble with everything that they learned. And unfortunately, Gene's team came in on top, but it was a good time. Everybody enjoyed it. I think what we got, the takeaway from it, it sounds like two or three, I think two sophomores and one junior is going to probably end up signing up for the golf team
That's
this year.
awesome.
Nice,
We like it so much, so.
Nice.
It was a good time.
nice. Anything else from the board? Anything on the June enrollment comparison, cash flow, or June budget flow? Guess not, Brad. I know you were ready. I know you were ready. No doubt in my mind. Okay, now the whole reason Josie's here. So we get to go into executive session with no action to follow for 10 minutes.